Good afternoon, everybody. How are you all doing today? My name is Ken O'Malley, as you know, and here I am in my living room once again this week. And it's such a joy to be able to share my time, hopefully my music and my songs with all of you. Where should we start? This week I'm planning on doing songs about immigration and stories, and I'd like you to all take note of my beautiful roses today. The orange ones are from my garden, and the pink ones I nicked from my next door neighbor. But he's always told me I'm welcome to the flowers, so they're nice and already bloomed out. So last week, as you know, I had the St. Patrick's roses, the yellow ones, so maybe next week something else. Anyway, today we're not quite there ready yet, so it's a delight to be here. I'm glad people are tuned in, which means they can hear me. Hi Christy, I just saw your name roll up. Diana, always a pleasure. And Kathleen, there we go. Victoria, Vicky, nice to see you, Vicky. And I know my family are watching over on the west side. I'd give a shout out to Bo, my grandson. He wanted to see me playing the guitar yesterday, so his dad, Brendan, said, well, let's watch Dad tomorrow. So Granddad's in action today. Anyhow, a lot of stories today. Hopefully I can remember. I have so much stuff in my head, so much information sometimes it's hard to kind of categorize and, you know, put it into some order of chronological time, so to speak. But I'll do my best. Ireland. Emigration. That's what we're famous for. We've always given our sons and our daughters away, traveled across the world, and given life to other countries, life and education in many ways. Many times we broke our backs building railroads, digging tunnels, working 3,000 feet below the surface in mines in Butte, Montana, and other parts, the mines, the copper mines and the coal mines of Pennsylvania and West Virginia. So a lot to be talked about today. Also, emigration to Australia. Don't have a lot about that today. I'm going to plan maybe doing a second emigration show, maybe even next week. Okay. Can you all hear me still? Looks like there we go, yeah. Something came up there that looked a little odd. Can you hear me, yeah? Oh, it's a wave. Hi everybody, I'm waving, okay. Don't be frightened of me out there. Some of this stuff is still very strange. Anyway, I'm going to start off the show this afternoon with a song that's on one of my albums, I believe, O'Malia, and there's a connection to my album sales on my website, www.kenomalley, no apostrophe, just Kenomalley, kenomalley.com. So it's a song called Paddy's Green Shamrock Shore, and this song comes from the wee north of Ireland, way up in the County Derry, in the northwest, right next to Donegal. From Derry came, we sailed away on the 23rd of May. We were boarded by a pleasant crew bound for America. Fresh water there, we did take on 5,000 gallons of oil, in case we'd run short going to New York from Paddy's Green Shamrock Shores. So fare thee well, sweet Eliza dear, and likewise to Derry town, and to wise farewell to my comrade boys who dwell on that sainted ground. If fortune ever should favour me, or I too have money in store. I go back and I'll wed the wee lassie I left on Paddy's green shamrock shore. We sailed 3 days, we were all seasick, not a man on board was free. We were ordered down into our bunks, with no one to pity poor me. No father dear, nor mother kind, to hold up my head when 'twas sore. And it made me think more of the lassie I left on Paddy's green shamrock shore. We safely reached the other side in 23 days. We were taken as passengers by a man and led round in 6 different ways. But we each of us drank a parting glass in case we might meet nevermore. And we drank a health to old Ireland and Paddy's green shamrock shore. So fare thee well, sweet Liza dear, and likewise to Derry town. And to wise farewell to my corporate boys who dwell on that sainted ground. If fortune ever should favour me, or I too have money in store, I'll go back and I'll wed the wee lassie I left on Paddy's green shamrock shore. So fare thee well, sweet Liza dear, and likewise to Derry town. And to wise farewell to my comrade boys who dwell on that sainted ground. If fortune ever should favour me, or I too have money in store, I'll go back and I'll wed the wee lassie I left on Paddy's green shamrock shore. I'll go back and I'll wed the wee lassie I left on Paddy's green shamrock shore. Thank you. Okay. Paddy's green shamrock shore. How many people left Ireland over the last several hundred years? They reckon anywhere up to 10 million. You know, that's an awful huge figure. But going way, way back, you know, to the dark ages, the dark middle ages of the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th centuries, St. Patrick had an awful lot to do with it. He came over to Ireland, and there were other people who converted the Irish to Christianity. The Irish were sailing across to England, Scotland, Wales, even before St. Patrick was ever heard of. And as you know, it was Irish pirates who came and captured him in Wales. But there were other people who were sent over to Ireland to try to convert the Irish to Christianity from being pagans. So, but Patrick did have a lot to do with it. He was the biggest influence on the Irish when it came to conversion to Christianity. So as a result, a lot of monasteries were set up in Ireland, a lot of monks, and the monks started going across to Europe through England and around England and Scotland into Europe. They set up monasteries in France, Germany, even in Italy. Now, you think you had a pope in Rome at the time? The Irish monks were traveling everywhere, bringing education and religion to the dark ages that was Central Europe. They also went to Scotland, Iona, St. Columkill. Don't forget St. Brendan, who we believe, St. Brendan the Navigator, who left Dingle in a leather-covered boat, a curragh, with a sail, and he had approximately 13 or 14 other monks with him, sailed up to the Faroe Islands, across to Iceland, through Greenland and into North America. We have no doubt about that. So my son Brendan is named after St. Brendan. His name is Brendan Patrick O'Malley. Very proud of him. Very proud of my son Rory. I hope he's probably not watching. He's always too busy. And I know Angela, you're out there, sweetheart, looking in, my daughter, and the rest of the family, Tricia and her sisters and brothers. And my family in Ireland, I see my sister Brenda is checking me out there. And maybe even my family in London. Anyway, so throughout, from that earliest time, the Irish were traveling back and forth. Don't forget, we were an island country, 300 miles long by 160 miles wide. And we had quite a population. So I'm going to get into that as we move along here. Otherwise, I'll never sing. Anyway, this is a song about the Irish coming over after the famine years. Okay? They came in their hundreds of thousands after the famine years, the Great Hunger of the 1840s, which basically started about 1845 to about 1849 into 1850, 51. There was another famine. There were lots of famines, but the Great Hunger destroyed the Irish at that time. So here's a story called The City of Chicago, written by one of Ireland's great songwriters, Luca Bloom. In the city of Chicago, as the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal. 1847 was the year it all began. Deadly pains of hunger over million from the land. Journey not for glory, the motive wasn't greed, a voyage of survival across the stormy seas. To the city of Chicago, as the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal. Some of them knew fortune, some of them knew fame, more of them knew hardship and died upon the plains. They spread across the nation, rode the railroad cars, brought their songs and music to ease their lonely hearts. To the city of Chicago, as the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal. In the city of Chicago, as the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal. 1847 was the year it all began. Deadly pains of hunger drove a million from the land. Thank you. 1847, Black 47 it was known as. It was when the potato crop really failed completely. As a result, hundreds of thousands of people took the coffin ships to America and Canada, elsewhere. A lot of them went to England, lived in miserable poverty over there. A lot of them went to Liverpool. They couldn't go any further. Some of them meant to go to America through Liverpool and ended up staying in Liverpool. It's like our second capital is Liverpool in England. Anyway, so they came to America, the Irish in their hundreds of thousands. And not too much later, we had the war between the states, the American Civil War. And so many young Irishmen coming off the boats were put into a blue uniform, a grey uniform, given a musket to go and fight for freedom. War between the states. And this, they reckon there was probably about upwards of 200 to 210,000 Irishmen fought in the American Civil War. About 180,000 for the Union and 20-odd thousand for the Confederacy. And 30,000 were killed. So this is a story written by a friend of mine. I had this specially requested also. Written by a friend of mine, Robert Emmett Dunlap, who I believe is watching this afternoon with his lovely girl Kathy, back in languishing in the glory and the beauty of Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And God bless them back there, Bob. I know you've got some friends that are suffering, and it's the third state with the highest level of pain and suffering in what's keeping us all here indoors. So Bob wrote this song about two Irishmen, brothers. It's a ghost story, who came over from Ireland and were literally huckled right into the Union Army and sent off to fight. It's a ghost story. And one of them dies at the Battle of Vicksburg, and his brother goes on to survive the war and join up with General George Armstrong Custer and go on to have his day at the Little Bighorn. It's called Mick Ryan's Lament. And thank you, Bob. That's the melody of the Gary Owen. That was Custer's song that he liked. He heard his troopers singing it and adapted it for the regimental music. Well, my name is Mick Ryan, I'm lying still in a lonely spot near where I was killed by a red man defending his native land in a place that they call Little Bighorn. But I swear I did not see the irony when I rode with the 7th Cavalry. We thought that we fought for the land of the free, and we rode from Fort Lincoln that morning. And the band, they played the Gary Owen. Brass was shining, flags are flowing. I swear if I had only known, I'd have wished that I died back in Vicksburg. For my brother and me, we had barely escaped from the hell that was Ireland in 48. Two lonely young lads who had learned how to hate, but we loved the idea of America. And we cursed our cousins who fought and bled in their bloody coats, bloody red. Well, the sun never sets on the bloody dead of those who have chosen an empire. But we made a better life somehow in the land where no man has to bow. It seems right then and it seems right now. Paddy, he died for the Union. eternity thought he found. Now I never will see that holy ground, for I turned into something I hated, and I'm haunted by the Gary Home. Drums are beating, bugles blowing. I swear if I had only known, I'd lie with my brother in Vicksburg. Thank you. The next song I'm going to do is one that's more of a reference to the Irish who went to Britain. Mostly 20th century. I mean, a lot of them went before, obviously, but this is about these people. Particularly during and after World War II. Like I said, I could tell you so much about the era, the politics of it all, but it would take all day. So basically, the bombings and the destruction of the cities in England. England was a much more industrial. Ireland had no industry. The only industry in Ireland was agriculture. And even today, it is the only one that has been surpassed by tourism. Tourism is Ireland's number one industry, followed by agriculture, technology, okay? But England was a powerhouse of industry, the Industrial Revolution. And even Belfast in the north of Ireland had Harland and Wolff, the shipyards where Titanic was built. And not, maybe in the last 20, 30 years, they've stopped shipbuilding in Belfast, and they were making planes up there. They made fighter planes and bombers in World War II up in Belfast. Belfast was bombed. Dublin was bombed by mistake, and several people were killed because the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force, thought it was Belfast they were dropping bombs on. But that's also, there's questions behind that too. Nobody really knows. Anyway, thousands and thousands of Irish people, men and women, went to England for work. There was no work in Ireland. Okay, I'll try to fill in the gaps. Ireland was pretty third world almost until I left Ireland in the mid-70s. A whole other story, but I'll go back to the famine years and the period of the penal laws before that in a minute. So they had the car factories in England, they had the truck factories, they had shipbuilding, they had coal, they had everything, okay? Steel mills in the north, Sunderland, Newcastle, Coventry, Birmingham had cars, okay? Vauxhall automobile was in Bradford, in England, and the Irish went to London. They were navvies, okay? They got the name navvy from the word navigation. They were building navigational canals in England, okay? And hence the same thing with the Erie Canal here in the United States. The Irish built those canals, and they were called navvies. And they went over there. I had two uncles, my aunt, my mother's two brothers. Uncle Owen raised a family in London, and my Uncle Jack was a single man, and he was back and forth, but spent many, many, many years in London working. My father's two sisters became nurses in England and lived there for a long time, particularly my Auntie Anna. And she and her husband Dennis, they raised a family in England. So this is a song, it's called It's a Long, Long Way from Clare to Here, and was written by Ralph McTell, who also wrote the famous Streets of London song about the homeless. So here we go. It's a long, long way from Clare to here, County Clare. There's four that share a room, we work out for the crack. Getting up late on Sundays, I never get to Mass. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. And it's a long, long way, gets service every day. And it's a long, long way from Clare to here. But Friday night it comes around, Jimmy's only into fighting. Me ma would like you left her home, but I'm too tired for writing. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. It's a long, long way, gets further day by day. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. It almost breaks my heart when I think of Josephine. I promised I'd be coming back with pockets full of dreams. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. And it's a long, long way, gets further day by day. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. Well, the only time I feel alright is when I'm into drinking. It eases off the pain of it, levels out my thinking. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. And it's a long, long way, gets further day by day. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. I dream I hear a piper playing, maybe it's an ocean. I dream I see white horses dancing on that other ocean. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. Well, it's a long, long way, gets further day by day. It's a long, long way from Clare to here. And it's a long, long way from Clare to here. Well, it's a long, long way from Clare to here. Okay. Let's see. The next song written by Pete St. John. Let's check the tuning. Dublin songwriter, and the song goes out to Terry McCartan, Dennis Murray, my old mates from the Mulligans. We learned this song together when it first came out. It's called Dublin in the Rare Old Times. It's a type of immigrant song, and I remember, Dennis and I kind of looking at each other when we heard it. Just remembering Dublin in the rare old times as we were growing up. Raised on songs and stories, heroes of renown, the passing days and glories that once was Dublin town. The hallowed halls and houses, the haunting children's rhymes, that once was Dublin city in the rare old times. Ring-a-ring, Rosie, as the light declines, I remember Dublin city in the rare old times. Me name it is Sean Dempsey, as Dublin as can be. Born hard and late in Pimlico, in a house that ceased to be. By trade I was a cooper, lost out to redundancy, like my home that fell to progress. My trade's a memory, and I courted Peggy Dinan, as pretty as you please, a rogue child of Mary, from the rebel liberties. I lost her to a student chap with skin as black as coal, when he took her off to Birmingham, she took away my soul. Ring a ring a rosy, as the light declines, I remember Dublin City in the rare old times. The years have made me bitter, the drink has dimmed me brain, for Dublin keeps on changing, and nothing seems the same. The pillar and the net, they're gone, the royal long since pulled down, as the grey unyielding concrete makes a city of my town. Ring a rosy, as the light declines, I remember Dublin City and the rare old times. Very well, sweet Anna Liffey, I can no longer stay and watch the new glass cages spring up along the quay. My mind's too full of memories, too old to hear new chimes. I'm a part of what was Dublin in the rare old times. Ring a rosy, as the light declines, I remember Dublin City in the rare old times. Thank you. Dublin, my hometown. So, a little bit to, when the Irish came in the mid-1800s on up, they came with their hundreds of thousands. It was the hordes of Irish Catholics that came. What happened in the late 17th century and on up into the 1700s was that, again, I could talk all afternoon about some of this stuff. Following the rebellions of Hugh O'Neill and Hugh O'Donnell, the plantation of Ulster by Queen Elizabeth, all these Scottish Presbyterians were brought over to plant the land. And that's where Northern Ireland today has the most populated of Protestants in Ireland, or in the north of Ireland. And there was a lot of problems and rebellions, and many of them decided they wanted to move on. They weren't happy in the north of Ireland, and they came to America first. They came in the late 1600s on up into the 18th century. All that whole, like the show Outlander that's on TV these days. Lots of Protestant, Catholic, and Scots and Irish came, but mostly Scots-Irish Protestants. It was the famine, the destruction of Ireland, that's brought so many Irish Catholics over. So when they arrived, they were dirt poor. 95% of them spoke the Irish language. Very few of them spoke any English. But they arrived on the East Coast. And they came to signs that said no Irish need apply. They were looked down upon by the know-nothings, and the Yankee Protestants hated them because they were Catholic, they were papists, they hated them. So they struggled, but they made it up the ladder in life. And you talk about class distinction, there were several classes of Irish that they were noted back then. There was the pig Irish, which were at the very bottom of the ladder, those that lived on the streets and in the gutters, and notoriously affected by alcohol, prostitution, crime, etc. Then there was the shanty Irish. They were just a step above. At least they had a place to live. They were living in tenements. They were living in shacks, all down around the Bowery area in New York, down and the other cities, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Boston, New York, etc. So, and then those people had a chance. And what happened then, the next level up became what was known as the lace curtain Irish. And in those days, what was happening in Ireland was new rules had been placed into law by the English, whereupon a man who was renting land from an English landlord could no longer divide it up into plots, which was the normal thing to do. The man broke up the land into plots evenly for his sons. That was done away with. So sometimes a couple of brothers might stick around and help work the land with the oldest brother who now owned it, or didn't own it, but he owned the rights to it. But the other guys emigrated. So what happened too was a lot of Irish women had no marriage prospects in Ireland, because you wouldn't want to marry someone who didn't have a bit of land. That was what it was all about. So the women left in higher numbers in those days and came to America looking for work, and a lot of them went into either factories or domestic help, housemaids, scullery maids, cooks, childcare, whatever it was, and they did well. And they were very industrious in both areas. And the women that went into domestic work, they managed to be able to save money. They were able to live free. And they rose up the ladder. And then the politicians were bringing in, all the Irish were becoming police and firemen. And they were getting good jobs. This was all happening over a period of many, many years, as you all know. And these people then became the lace curtain, moving out to the suburbs, buying houses, putting up lace curtains. And then there was the cathedral Irish. Now they were the ones that were making the donations to the Catholic Church at the top end of things. So the Irish were improving their lot, and they were very solid. And it was the Irish, the church, the Catholic Church, who was very demure in America until the Irish came and bolstered the Catholic Church, and that's how that all worked out. So, anyway, I'm going to sing a little song a cappella, okay? And it's called I've Lived Here Before, written by Mike Scott from the Waterboys. And I want to refer to some of these people that had gone out in the late 1800s, early 20th century, spent maybe 25, 30 years, and actually then got on a ship and came home to Ireland. Some of them wanted to come home and live. Some of them wanted to come home and just see Ireland again. Because when you left on that American wave, which we've talked about before, you were never seen again. Most people who left Ireland in the 19th century into almost the upper half of the 20th century were never seen again by their families. They sent money home all the time. So here's a song called I've Lived Here Before. I've lived here before in days of old. I recognize these feelings in my soul. I know each winding road and every rise that's friendly and familiar to my eyes. And I've lived here before, I do believe. I have rejoiced in these fields, and I have grieved. I can feel it in my soul that I belong to the strange and stony rock I stand upon. But I cannot put a name upon it, I cannot trace the time, nor see the land where I once was, or where which house was mine. No, I cannot put a name upon it, or know which, where, or when, but here I am, a perfect stranger, home again. There's great confusion in my head as I depart, with a singing, ringing, soaring in my heart. But beyond all time and space and a doubt, I know that I've been here before, long ago. Thank you. All right. Here's a song for Annie Singleton, if she's watching out there. She better be. Annie's from Donegal in Palamain. The song is called The Homes of Donegal. It's on the O'Malia album. I just stopped in to see you all. I'll only stay a while. I long to see how you're getting on. I want to see you smile. I'm happy to be back again. Can reach you big and small. For there's no place else on earth quite like the homes of Donegal. I long to see your smiling children standing by the door. The kettle boiling on the hearth as I walk up the floor, and then to see her welcome free from good friends the one and all. For your hearts are like mountains in the homes of Donegal. I'd like to spend some time with you, while away the night, with fairy lore and the tales of yore beside a turf firelight, and then to see laid out for me a shakedown by the wall. For there's rest halls of Donegal. Well, the time has come for me to go. Bid you all adieu. That open highway calls me back to do the things I do. And when I'm traveling far away, my good friends I'll recall. And please God, I'll soon return unto the halls of Donegal. Donegal, Donegal, pride of all, Donegal, pride of all. Donegal, pride of all. Donegal. Hey Bo, my little grandson, I hope you're watching. Maybe Luna's out there in Colorado, my granddaughter. Love to both of you. Anyway, so it's great to see all the names out there. Marty, what a pleasure. All the way from Belfast. That's cool. Brendan, you're out there, I see. Where's Angela? My good pal Tony O'Gorman, all the way from Clonakilty in County Cork. We go back to the age of, I don't know, how old were we, Nobby? 5 or 8 years of age when we first met. And we're still the best of friends. That's so cool. Anyway, I've got time for a few more, maybe. Trying to think of what to do here. I'll sing a song in the Gaelic language and play on the Loudon. This is a song called Eamon on Kinnick. It's a song that goes back to the defeat at the Battle of the Boyne in 1690, which was, again, one of the periods where the emigration began in big numbers. And what I mean by that is that the defeat of the Battle of the Boyne by King William, the Protestant king of the Netherlands, okay? He was actually the nephew, or the son-in-law, I beg your pardon, of King James of Scotland, who was going to become the new King of England. His daughter was married to King William. So the Protestant English Parliament did not want a Catholic king on the throne. So they brought in William and they fought in Ireland. How nice of them. So anyway, this is a story by the gentleman who wrote this song, is the character within the song. And his name is Eamon on Kinnick, Ned of the Hill. Eamon Ryan was his name. And he had land in Tipperary. And he was one of those that was going to have to leave Ireland. He became a rapparee, an outlaw, following the defeat. The Battle of Aughrim in Galway was really the end of it, okay? Then they had the Treaty of Limerick, which of course the English disemboweled the treaty, if you like. And their offer was that the Irish army could disperse and travel to anywhere in Europe. And most of them did. They went to the Catholic countries, Germany, France, Spain, well, maybe not Germany so much, France, Spain, and Austria. And they became famous, some of those soldiers, the Irish Brigades. And even before that, from the 1607 was the flight of the Earls, but not as many left. That was Hugh O'Neill and Hugh O'Donnell, who left Ireland after the 9 Years' War. But the armies of Ireland in the late 17th century left Ireland in their thousands, okay, which left Ireland completely defenseless. And the English brought in the penal laws in the 18th century, early 18th century, and they just pressed the Irish down into the gutter and into the dirt on their land. Okay, another long story for another day. But this is a song called Eamon on Canick, which is a call and response song about Eamon, who he's knocking on the door of his lady friend. He wants her to help him escape from Ireland. He's out on the wild, snowy mountainside. They talk about Fuer Ermocha. He's talking about the cold has just rattled his stomach. And he wants to come in and hide under her hoop skirts. That's part of the lyrics, hide under her hoop skirts, from the English. In the second verse, he talks about going across the sea to France, which, as I said, so many did. You have the likes of Hennessy Brandy. Hennessy was an Irish colonel at that time who went to, started off the vineyard and eventually made cognac. So many of them did. So Eamon on Canick. Céis in amor, a bhfuil fuera ag ribod magaris gúnta mi sé Eamon an Canick atá báinte fuórfliach ó híriúil sléite is glánta a légal sa chuid can the ening sugar when a giving her pain the maguna come on put the katya oh here hey that clear skimaya mi dere Father nation more wish not as we have skandalach the gun Herinach ma herra ganskar of an ganskar is gone me the gun Herinach Neil carry the gun is done up the Liamson, Skikahi may look, now they Skikahi may done. How far he gets in, oh, a son nach willing, the Mokre looked up. Céis in amor, a bhfuil fuera ag ribod magaris gúnta mi sé Eamon an Canick atá báinte fuórfliach ó híriúil sléite is glánta. Did you hear that? Anyway, everybody, it's almost that time. I want to thank you all. I have no idea how many of you are out there. Again, here I am on a Sunday afternoon in my house. And all I can see is me. Okay, how wonderful is that, right? I'm looking at my own reflection, if you like, in my phone, which is about 6-7 feet away. I do see a lot of names. Hi, Sharon Thompson, it is you, yes. I see Chris Wilson rolling up there, my manager. Hi, Chris. And she's putting out some information. If anybody's really interested, right now I don't think I have any income at all. I'm hoping to get some unemployment and a couple of maybe some grants. I'm not sure about anything that's coming, but nothing's coming in. So if you're kind enough to feel like sending a few bob over, she's got the information there, the Venmo and the PayPal info. But thank you. More than anything else, it's a pleasure for me. You know, once a week is all I'm doing this, so it's really a nice challenge to come out and try to entertain so many people, okay? And I don't know who's out there. I just see some names rolling up. And I'm sure as time goes on, the numbers will probably get, you know, like Waltzing Matilda said, the numbers get fewer, right? So I'm going to do one more song, and I'm going to do another show next week and continue with the immigration theme, because there's so much more I want to talk about. And I have loads more immigration songs, and after that we'll see what comes on. I'm going to keep doing it if you want me to keep doing this, and anybody's got some ideas, that'd be great. So Bo, hope you're still out there, and Luna, you're watching, okay? My grandchildren. Do one more song. Let's see, any other information? Yes, go to my website, www.kenomalley, no apostrophe, kenomalley.com. I'm going to be doing the tours of Ireland later this year, please God. Who knows? I mean, we are in such a pandemic right now that I don't think anybody really knows. The experts are trying the best they can to give us information we either do or don't want to hear. I don't know. So anyway, I should be in Ireland right now. I should be in Bantry with my group tour, but 95% of the people on the tour are waiting to go with me in October, okay? So we're going to do the whole west of Ireland and southwest, if anybody's interested, from the 10th of October to the 19th. And then I'm going to stay over because I've already pre-planned to have a Halloween tour that starts off with the Bram Stoker festival in Dublin, and we arrive in Dublin on the 24th, and we start on the 24th and stay in a very old, cool hotel that has one of the greatest Irish pubs in it called Darky Kelly's, and she was a brothel owner back in the 19th century, and she murdered several men. So we have a nice little start to our Halloween, and we're going to do a couple of days in Belfast, where I'm sure we'll see Marty McGuire. And then we're going to head across for 3 nights in Derry, which has an extravaganza of a Halloween event. And then we'll come back to Dublin for 1 or 2 days, and then we shall see. So go on to my website and have a look at those tours. And God only knows what happens if we have to postpone further. We'll see. Everything is in my Creator's hands right now, your Creator's hands. So thanks for sticking around today, everybody. Song I wrote called Meet Me Back in Ireland, okay? Said a last goodbye to loved ones, we sang that old refrain. The ghosts of generations heard those parting words again. May the road rise to meet us. This time the road goes both ways. Once a time of no returning, we'll return again one day. Meet me back in Ireland. Come on, I'll be waiting for you there. Where the land meets Atlantic, sure we'll walk and take the air. Have a night in Dublin City, where you'll never feel alone. Would be grand to have you with me when I make the journey home. On the building sites of London, where they're often cold as fools, to the stormy streets of Glasgow and the docks of Liverpool. On the rainy streets of New York, to the shores of San Francisco Bay, the cold ones of Chicago, I want us both to get away. Meet me back in Ireland, I'll be waiting for you there. Where the land meets the Atlantic, sure we'll walk and take the air. Have a night in Dublin City, where you'll never feel alone. Would be grand to have you with me when I make the journey home. glories of the land. From his heart he draws the memories like yesterday was in his hand. I hear it down in Sydney, in Christchurch, Toronto, to Rome, to Copenhagen. There's a voice that calls to you, for the gale has been all over. Everywhere our seas are flown. Just another Irish rover, and there's no place else like home. Take me back in Ireland, yeah. Oh, can take the air in the west of summer's evening. Silver waters kiss the shores. Feel the magic in that moment that will last forevermore. Yeah, there you go, everybody. I want to give a shout out to my niece Rachel out in Perth in Western Australia. A shout out to my nephew Keith, who's in Dubai, but currently with his mom and dad in Dublin, my sister Brenda and her husband Christopher. And who else have we got? Denise, Brenda's other daughter, who's in Toronto right now, and she's tuned in. And I've got my nephew Jack, who's in England right now, Martin's son. So the O'Malley's are all over the place. Have I missed anybody? No, I don't think so. All my family in Dublin, my sister Sandra, of course, and her husband Nadeem, and all her brood over there in London. Love you all. Love you all. I love all my friends right here, my family. Thank you all for tuning in today. And I'm going to do it again next week. And thank you so much, always, for your love and support. God bless. Thank you.